Good day everyone, I am LJ Russell M. Flores, a grade 10 student. Today, right at this moment, I will be discussing to you what is permutation, its benefits, and the experiment I did within our house to apply the concept of permutation. What is permutation? A permutation is a mathematical technique that determines the number of possible arrangements in a set where the order of the arrangements matters. It is also about the act of arranging things in a specific order. What are the benefits of permutation? To count the number of ways for determining arrangement. Oftentimes, we are unconscious that the benefit of permutation is happening in our daily life. Permutations enable us to count the number of ways for determining something with respect in the order. One of the examples is determining the election of structured organization. We are given the option to specify the position of the post of chairman, assistant of chairman, secretary, treasurer, and etc. Moreover, the permutation can also be used to determine the number of ways in the preparation of a series of letters in the word or the other. To distinguish one arrangement to another arrangement. By using permutations, we can find the number of ways about classification for each arrangement. For example, in the election of structured organization, we can get the result of chairman, assistant of chairman, secretary, treasurer, and etc., which all of them are different from one another. They have different position and job that we can make it the same. So the benefit of permutation is distinguishing one arrangement to another arrangement. The experiment I did within our house to apply the concept of permutation. My mother told me to go to my grandmother's house for me to give her what she wants, which is to be with me in a day. A problem arose on my mind, which is I don't have an idea on what to wear as I go to her house because my grandmother is a type of person who wants me to look good in a way of dressing myself. I have 2 pants and 3 different shirts. I don't know what to pair and wear. That is why I did my very best to determine the best pair of pants and shirt. The concept of permutation popped out on my undecided mind. If I have 3 different shirts and 2 pants, how many different combinations of clothes can I have? I have 6 different combinations of clothes as I did the concept of permutation where it enables me to see and find the right one. And the right one. Magandang dilag, puso ko yung nabiha. It's a prank! The concept of permutation enables me to know the best pair that is suitable for me to look good as I visit my grandmother in her house. Oh my god! It's time. I have to go. But before I go, I want you to be reminded that with mathematics, there's nothing you can do. Bye!
Hey guys! Hi guys, it's me Martin at Fernandino, and for today's video, I'm going to share with you my experiment or example of permutation that I use in household chores. In this side, I have landscape Instax photos, and in this side, I have portrait Instax photos. And I'm going to put all of that Instax photos here in the frame. And for me to fix it, I need an arrangement or permutation because the orientation of the Instax photos are different. Let's start! In this side, I put landscape Instax photos. Also, in this side. And another layer of Instax photos I will put portrait photos here in the middle to make it balanced. I already put the Instax photos here in the frame properly, even though the Instax photos orientation is different. I showed permutation in this example because I arranged the Instax photos with different orientation. I put landscape photos here, also in this side, and portrait photos in the middle to make it balanced. That's why I show permutation in this example, because I follow the arrangement of each landscape photos and portrait photos here. Thank you guys, I hope you learned something from this video.
Hello everyone, I'm Maricon Tolentino. Today I want to share real situation relating to our topic in mathematics, which is permutation. Hope you guys enjoy it, and let's start! First, let's define the meaning of permutation. In mathematics, a permutation of a set is, loosely speaking, an arrangement of its members into a sequence or linear order, or if the set is already ordered, a rearrangement of its elements. The word permutation also refers to the act or process of changing the linear order of an ordered set, or in another definition, a permutation is an arrangement of all or part of a set of objects with regards to the order of the arrangement. For example, Mary won 3 times in the competition she participated in. Her first win came from singing competition. In the reading competition, he won for the second time and received a bigger trophy. And her third win came from the writing competition, and again he received another trophy. So it means she totally received 3 trophies in different competitions: singing competition, reading competition, and writing competition. Now, Mary thought of taking a picture of her 3 trophies, but she wanted different arrangements in the picture she was going to make. So she thought of using permutation to find out how many ways she can picture her 3 trophies. The question is, how Mary can solve her problem using permutation. The solution is, she had 3 trophies named A, B, and C. Writing in the following ways make it easier to solve this type of problem. We can use the multiplication principle to determine the number of ways that Mary can capture her trophies. Mary had 3 trophies. So the arrangement that perhaps the trophy structure in descending order are 3 times 2 times 1, which is equals to 6. We solve that using the multiplication principle. So it means we can capture the trophies of Mary in 6 different ways, and they are ABC, BCA, CAB, CBA, ACB, and BAC. Now, we finished to solve the problem of Mari, and she was very happy to post it in her social media. I hope you guys enjoy and understand the video I presented to you. Have a nice day and goodbye.
A permutation is a mathematical technique that determines the number of possible arrangements in a set when the order of the arrangement matters. Getting a book out of 5 is one of the examples of permutation. This is a permutation because I need to read this book in order so I can understand the whole story. The book 1, book 2, book 3, book 4, and book 5. Now, I will get the book 1 so I can start reading it. And this is my own example of mathematics permutation.
Counting theory, permutation and combination. First, what is permutation? A permutation is a mathematical technique that determines the number of possible arrangements in a set when the order of the arrangements matters. Formula of permutation: NPR is equals to R factorial over N minus R factorial. Example of permutation: a museum has 7 paintings by Picasso and wants to arrange 3 of them on the same wall. How many ways are there to do this? The formula that we're going to use is NPR is equals to R factorial over N minus R factorial. N is equals to total number of objects or options. R is equals to numbers of those objects options being used. N is equals to 7 and R is equals to 3. 7PR is equals to 7 factorial over 7 minus 3 factorial. 7 factorial is equals to 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 and times 1 over 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Now, we're going to cancel the same numbers. The remaining numbers are 7 times 6 and times 5. 7 times 6 times 5 is equals to 210. Now, we're going to talk about combination. A combination is mathematical technique that determines the number of possible arrangements in a set collection of items where the order of the selection does not matter. Formula of combination: NCR is equals to N factorial over R factorial N minus R factorial. Example of combination: a person playing poker is dealt 5 cards. How many different hands could the player have been dealt? The formula that we're going to use is NCR is equals to N factorial over R factorial N minus R factorial. N is equals 52 and R is equals to 5. 52 C5 is equals to 52 factorial over 5 factorial 52 minus 5 factorial. 52 factorial over 47 minus 5. 52 factorial is equals to 52 times 51 times 50 times 49 and times 48. The total of this is 299 million at 880,000 over 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 and times 1, which is the total is equals to 120. And now we're going to divide 299,880,000 over 120. And now the answer is 2,598,960.
Hi guys, so in this video we will talk about permutation, and I will give you an example of a real life situation that is related to permutation. So let us first know what is a permutation.
A permutation is a mathematical technique that determines the number of possible arrangements in a set when the order of the arrangement matters. Real-life example of permutation.
We have different types of plants here. We can arrange it in different orders. It shows 3 different types of plants here. We can arrange it in different orders. So here are the possible orders that we can make in these 3 plants.
A, B, C, C, A, B, C, B, A, B, C, A, C, B, and B, A, C.
Maria Nicole Villas, and thanks for watching!
Hey guys! Today, I'm gonna show you an example of permutation in real life. But first, what is a permutation? A permutation is a mathematical technique that determines the number of possible arrangements in a set when the order of the arrangements matters. Let me show you an example of permutation in real life. First, this is A, B, and C. The different arrangements are ABC, BAC, CBA, ACB, BCA, and CAB.
What is permutation? A permutation is a mathematical technique that determines the number of possible arrangements in a set when the order of the arrangements matters. Common mathematical problems involve choosing only several items from a set of items with a certain order. Now that you know what is permutation, I will give you an example of permutation in real life. This is my study table, and I use it every day because of my studies. This is set A, where all of my pens, tapes, and crayons are in the right side of my study table and my papers in the middle. This is set B, where all of my pens, tapes, and crayons are in the left side of my table and my papers in the middle. This is set C, where all of my pens, tapes, and crayons are in the upper side of my table and my papers in the middle.
A permutation is a mathematical technique that determines the number of possible arrangements in a set when the order of the arrangement matters. By arranging my slippers is my example of how can you use a permutation in real life. I name my slipper so I can arrange it easily. This is A, B, and C. The first arrangement I made was A, B, and C. The second was B, A, and C. And the third was C, B, and A. This is an example of permutation order that I use to arrange my sleepers.
In mathematics, a permutation of a set is an arrangement of its members into a sequence or a linear order, or if the set is already ordered, a rearrangement of its elements. The word permutation also refers to the act or process of changing the linear order of an order set. Trigonometry can be used to measure the height of a building or mountain. If you know the distance from where you observe the building of an angle of elevation, you can easily find the height of the building. Similarly, if you have the value of one side and the angle of depression from the top of the building, you can find on another side of the triangle. All you need to know is one side and angle of the triangle.
Diagram shows all the possible outcomes. In how many ways can a president, a treasurer, and a secretary be chosen from among 7 candidates? For the first position, there are 7 possible choices. After that candidate is chosen, there are 6 possible choices. Finally, there are 5 possible choices. So 7 times 6 times 5 is equals to 210. Using the permutation formula, the problem involves 7 candidates taken 3 at a time. Permutation of 7 taken 3 at a time is equals to 7 factorial over 7 minus 3 factorial. And that is equals to 7 factorial over 4 factorial. 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 factorial over 4 factorial is equals to 210. There are 210 possible ways to choose a president, a treasurer, and a secretary be chosen from among 7 candidates. Factorial of a number n is defined as the product of all of the products from n to 1. For example, the factorial of 5. 5 factorial is equals to 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, and that is equals to 120. The number of permutations of n objects taken r at a time is denoted by permutation of n taken r at a time and is given by the following formula. Permutation of n taken r at a time is equals to n factorial over n minus r factorial. In this lesson, we will learn the permutation formula for the number of permutations of n things taken r at a time. We can either use reasoning to solve these types of permutation problems, or we can use the permutation formula. Let's take a look at this question. How many 3-digit numbers can be formed from the digits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 if each digit can be used only once? So the solution to this problem involves counting the number of permutations of 7 distinct objects taken 3 at a time. Permutation of n taken r at a time is equals to n factorial over n minus r factorial. Substitute, permutation of 7 taken 3 at a time is equals to 7 factorial over 7 minus 3 factorial, and that is equals to 7 factorial over 4 factorial. 7 times 6 times 5 is equals to 210. Thus, 210 different 3-digit numbers can be formed from the digits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Combination of n objects taken r at a time. The number of combinations of r objects taken from a group of n distinct objects is denoted by combination of n taken r at a time, and is combination of n taken r at a time is equals to n factorial over n minus r factorial divided by r factorial. Take a look at this example. The Atlanta Braves are having a walk-on tryout camp for baseball players. 30 players show up at a camp, but the coaches can choose only 4. How many ways can 4 players be chosen from the 30 that have shown up? The solution to this problem involves counting the number of combinations of 30 players taken 4 at a time. The number of combinations of n distinct objects taken r at a time is combination of n taken r at a time is equals to n factorial over n minus r factorial divided by r factorial. Substitute, combination of 30 taken 4 at a time is equals to 30 factorial over 30 minus 4 factorial divided by 4 factorial. And that is equals to 30 factorial over 26 factorial divided by 4 factorial. And that is equals to 27,405. Thus, 27,405 different groupings of 4 players are possible.
I am going to discuss counting theories, permutations, and combinations. First, let's define what is permutation and combination. What is permutation? A permutation is a mathematical technique that determines the number of possible arrangements in a set when the order of the arrangement matters. What is combination? A combination is a mathematical technique that determines the number of possible arrangements in a collection of items where order of the selection does not matter. There are 3 principal ways to count all the outcomes of a trial. First, draw a tree diagram. Second, systematically write all possibilities. And third, use permutation and combination techniques. Here is an example of tree diagram. We use the tree diagram to display all the possible outcomes of an event. Each branch in a tree diagram represents a possible outcome. Permutation of n object. Find the number of ways to arrange 6 items in groups of 4 at a time where order matters. Permutation of 6 taken 4 at a time equals 6 factorial divided by 6 minus 4 factorial equals 720 divided 2 factorial equals 360. Example number 2. Let's say that there are 5 people but we only have 3 chairs. How many ways can you have 5 people where only 3 of them are going to sit down in these 3 chairs? We have 5 times 4 times 3, meaning 5 different people could sit in seat 1. If one person already sat in seat 1, how many people could sit in seat 2? Well, if one person has sat down, there's 4 people left who haven't been seated. But how many people could sit in 3 seats? We could put 3 different people in seat 3. So 5 times 4 times 3, which is equal to 60, meaning we have 60 permutation. Here are the formulas we used. Permutation of n taken r at a time. N factorial divided by n minus r factorial. The student of Mr. Van's seminar class had to choose 4 out of 7 people who were nominated to serve on student council. How many different groups of students could be selected? Combination of n taken r at a time is equal to combination of 7 taken 4 at a time. Combination of 7 taken 4 at a time is equal to 7 factorial over 7 minus 4 factorial. 4 factorial is equal to 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 over 3 times 2 times 1 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Cancel the 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. 7 times 6 times 5 divided by 3 times 2 times 1 or 35. There are 35 different groups of students that could be selected. Thanks for listening, and I hope you learned a lot in this lesson.
Hi guys, it's me Marquiniel F. Bernardino, a grade 10 student at NUST. Now for today's video, tuturuan natin siya, i-tutor natin siya about sa discussion natin last meeting. But first, introduce yourself.
Good morning, my name is Mark Anthony Flores. I am 15 years old. I live in Magkasan Isidro, Nueva Ecija. I am grade 9 student at Grade Montessorian School.
Going back to our discussion, have you ever heard about permutation and combination as counting theory?
Hindi pa.
Okay, let me define first the combination and permutation. Combination is the number of ways of choosing k object from total of an object. Or, ibig sabihin nito, yung order hindi nagmamatter or hindi importante. Yung permutation naman, ito yung number of ways of choosing and arranging k object. Dito naman sa permutation, nagmamatter yung arrangement or kailangan ng arrangement. Yung counting theory naman ay may 3 ways. At isa dun yung pag-aaralan natin ngayon. Yun yung tree diagram. So ngayon, yung example natin ay tree diagram. Yung tanong dito, magtotos ka ng 3 coin. Magtotos ka ng coin. Tapos, ang hanapin mo ngayon, yung possible outcomes ng bawat pag-toss mo ng coin. Kunyari, ito, first toss, yung una mong pag-toss. Ano yung possible outcome? Yung possible outcome, yun yung pwedeng kalabasan ng coin. Heads ba o tails? Ngayon, sa first toss, hanapin mo kung ano yung possible outcome. And then, ang possible outcome niya ay heads saka tails. Ngayon naman, sa second toss, ang hahanapin mo naman yung combination ng head sa tails. Ngayon, ang combination sa second toss ay HH saka HT. O ngayon, ano yung combination na makukuha mo sa tails?
TH.
Saka
TT.
So, yun guys, yung combination na makukuha mo sa second toss ay HH, HT, TH, saka TT. Ngayon, sa third toss na tayo. Siyempre, magbabase ka na dito sa second toss. Kaya ang magiging kuhanan mo na, ito. Ang combination na pwede mong makuha dyan, H, 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 T. Tapos H, T, H, H, T, T. Ngayon, ano pwede mong makuha combination sa 8, sa tails?
TH8. TTT.
THH. THT. O, ano pwede mo makuha dito?
TTH. TTT.
Yan. So, yun guys, yun yung isang example ng counting theory, yung tree diagram. Ngayon, pagka nakuha mo na yung tree diagram, meron tayong organized list. Ito yung isang possible organization sa pag-organize. Ganito siya guys, oh. Kita niyo to yung color purple. Dito siya sa heads. Tapos yung color green dito sa tails. O, di ba? Pagsasama-samahin mo lang yung mga nakuha mong combination. Kagaya nito, H, H, H. Ayan guys, H, H, H. Tapos H, T, H. Ito siya, H, T, H. O ngayon, hanapin mo yung T, T, T dito. Yan. So ayun guys, yun lang yung isang ways para magamit mo yung counting theory. So ngayon, ano yung natutunan mo dito sa discussion natin ngayon?
Kaya ko nang alamin ang combination ng possible outcome.
So ayun guys, yun yung isang pwede mong matutunan dito sa discussion natin. Hope you like this video. Bye guys!
Objectives: use organized lists and tree branching diagrams to list all possible outcomes of a trial. Identify whether permutation or combination is appropriate to count the number of outcomes of a trial. Use formulas or calculator commands to evaluate permutation and combination problems. Counting outcomes. There are three principal ways to count all the outcomes of a trial. Number 1. Draw a tree diagram. Often a simple multiplication is enough. Number 2. Systematically write all the possibilities. Number 3. Use permutation and combination techniques. Example number 1. Tossing coins. 3 coins are tossed, or 1 coin is tossed 3 times, and the outcome of heads or tails is observed. Draw a tree diagram, also called a branching diagram, that shows all possible outcomes. State a conclusion. How many equally likely outcomes are there in this problem? This is an example of tree diagram for 3 coins. This shows all of the possible outcomes that may occur in tossing 3 coins. So there are 8 different equally likely outcomes. Next is writing an organized list. For the contours problem we just did, write an organized list that shows all possible outcomes. Here is one possible organization: HHH, HHT, HTH, HTT, TTT, THT, TTH, and THH. There are other ways to organize. Any methods that is systematic so that no outcomes are missed can work. Dito sa writing an organized list, ililista lang natin isa-isa yung mga possible outcomes na maaaring mangyari. Permutations of n objects. Suppose we have 10 books on a shelf. How many arrangements are there? 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 is equal to 3,628,800. The shorthand notation for this is 10 factorial. In general, there are n factorial ways to arrange n objects. This is called the permutations of n objects. The key idea is that order matters. Arranging fewer than all the objects. What if there are only 4 slots available on the bookshelf for the 10 books? Then there are 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 is equal to 5,040 ways to arrange 4 books out of a group of 10. Dito, kukuhanin lang natin, yung ginawa dito, kinuha lang yung 4 na highest numbers, tas yun yung ginamit sa factorial.
So ngayon, tuturuan natin kung paano mag-solve ng permutation in combination. First, define muna natin ang meaning ng permutation and combination. A permutation is a mathematical technique that determines the number of possible arrangements in a set when the order of the arrangement matters. Kumbaga, sa tanong na yan ay, sa mga tanong is, mahalaga yung pagkakasunod-sunod yan. Kaya sabi dito is, order of the arrangement matters. And combination. A combination is a mathematical technique that determines the number of possible arrangements in collection of items where the order of the selection does not matter. Kumbaga, hindi ganun kahalaga yung pagkakasunod-sunod nung niya. Kaya sabi ito selection does not matter. Ayun. Ito, babasahin ng mga example para malaman mo kung mo lang kung permutation o combination. There are 5 cabins in the woods at a certain vacation spot. Each cabin has a path that leads to each of the other cabins. How many paths are there in all? May sabihin niya, how many paths are there in all? Kumbaga, tinatanong niya. And each cabin has a path that leads to each of the other cabins. Kumbaga, sunod-sunod. Kaya ang sagot nito is combination. This is the combination of 5 things taken 2 at a time. Kasi nga, order does not matter. Ito naman, there are 100 communication satellites orbiting Earth. Each satellite needs a transmit and receive channel to talk to each of the other satellites. How many channels are needed? Kaya daw kadaming channels ang kinakailangan. Ang sagot is, this time, AB is different from A. BA, so, use permutation. Kumbaga, ayun yun kanya kasi nga, order is matter. Kailangan pagkakasunod-sunod kasi kung magkakamali, hindi na magkakaroon ng communication sa satellite. Yun lang. Thank you.
Mathematics very important, can be used in daily life. It assumes that every problem, there's so many ways to solve. But you know what is combination? The order is not important. Come and join us, this enjoyable. This is what you gotta do. You can buy without an order. You can choose which will be the one. That is combination. Different from permutation. Permutation. The order is important. Just like putting in the password, you can't exchange. Office, don't you forget it. Office, don't you forget it. Permutation, combination is different. Office, don't you forget it. Office, don't you forget it. Permutation, combination is different. Mathematics is very important, can be used in daily life. It assumes that every problem, there's so many ways to solve. But you know what is combination? The order is not important. Come and join us, this enjoyable. This is what you gotta do. You can buy without an order. You can choose which will be the one. That is combination. Different from permutation. Permutation. The order is important. Just like putting in the password, you can't exchange. Office, don't you forget it. Office, don't you forget it. Permutation, combination is different. combination is different.
Come along with me and let's learn mathematics. In this song we will talk about permutations, combination. Permutations are arrangements that order matters. Example of it is passcodes on a padlock, and combination is a number of selections. Order doesn't matter, always remember that. Come along with me and let's learn mathematics. Permutations, combinations are very fun to learn. All of my learnings I will apply to life. Always remember that math is always fun. Come along with me and let's learn mathematics. Permutations, combinations, we can learn many new things. We learn many things.
Life is a math equation. In order to gain the most, you have to learn from it all. With mathematics, there's nothing you cannot do. Math is life.
Do you know permutation? How about combination? Just listen for you to know the difference between them. Yes, correct, different. Listen for you to know.
Life is a math equation. In order to gain the most, you have to learn from it all. With mathematics, there's nothing you cannot do. Math is life. Life is a math equation. In order to gain the most, you have to learn from it all. With mathematics, there's nothing you cannot do. Math is life. Just listen for you to know.
The order that is here, it is permutation. The order don't matter. Combination, its name. Mathematics, math is life. Do not ever forget it.
Life is a math equation. In order to gain the most, you have to learn from it all. With mathematics, there's nothing you cannot do. Math is life. Life is a math equation. In order to gain the most, you have to learn from it all. With mathematics, there's nothing you cannot do. Math is life. Just listen for you to know. Listen for you to know. Life is a math equation. In order to gain the most, you have to learn from it all. With mathematics, there's nothing you cannot do. Math is life. Life is a math equation. In order to gain the most, you have to learn from it all. With mathematics, there's nothing you cannot do. Math is life. Just listen for you to know. Now you already know, now you already know, now you already know. Mathematics is life.
Do not ever forget, do not ever forget, do not ever forget.
Mathematics is life.
We are here to give you tips about math counting theory. There are two ways of solving it. We need it in our life. We call that permutation, that order matter always. Can we just remember that very carefully? Cause combination, order doesn't matter. Maybe you'll be confused from this math world we live in. And I know you can do it, cause we already done it for many times. Math permutation is just easy if you know the formula. It is just NPR that you need to memorize. While in combination, NCR is the formula for you to memorize. Sequence is easy, math is nice, so stop dating it. Cause combination, order doesn't matter. Maybe you'll be confused from this math world we live in. And I know you can do it, cause we already done it for many times. There's an answer, there's always answer. You just need to think. There's no problem that don't have answer. Just give it to yourself. Permutation, order does matter. Maybe you'll be confused from this math word we live in. And I know we could remember the variance of that. Combination, order doesn't matter. Maybe you'll be confused from this math world we live in. And I know you can do it, cause we already done it for many times.
math have permutation and a combination. In a permutation is arrangement matters, but in a combination, the order does not matter. You can do it without any order from the rest. The permutation refers to the after process of changing the linear order of answers. So, permutation and combination, you can use it in your life. Adding, subtracting, multiplying, casting, division. You can do it without any order from the rest. The word permutation refers to the after process of changing the linear order of answers. So, permutation and combination, you can use it in your life. Adding, subtracting, multiplying, casting, division, division.
Mathematics is a study that deals with logic of shape, quantity, and arrangement. Math is all around us and everything we do in life. We're like wandering alone. To one lesson we can use in life, it is permutation and combination. Permutation when order matters, combination when it doesn't. Are you curious now? So come and join us. Permutation is a mathematical technique that determines the number of possible arrangements in a set when the order of the arrangement matters. And now you know how. Combination is a mathematical technique that determines the number of possible arrangements in a collection of items. The order of selection does not matter.
An act of arranging the objects that determines the number of possible arrangements in a set where order matters. We call it permutation, call it permutation. We call it permutation, call it permutation. The selection of items, an arrangement of objects, the order of selection does not really matter. We call it combination, call it combination. We call it combination, call it combination. Count possible outcomes in various situations. Take your time to learn, it's not that confusing. The order importance is the difference. I'm gonna say this to you. If the order does matter, then we have permutation. Password needs correct order for it to work. Password needs correct order for it to work. If order doesn't matter, then we have combination. Mix it up and it looks the same. It looks the same. Mix it up and it looks the same. It looks the same. Count possible outcomes in various situations. Take your time to learn, it's not that confusing. The order importance is the difference. I'm gonna say this to you. If the order does matter, then we have permutation.
Password needs correct order for it to work. Password needs correct order for it to work. If order doesn't matter, then we have combination. Mix it up and it looks the same. It looks the same. Mix it up and it looks the same. It looks the same.
Permutations, arrangements, that orders matter. Example of it, book on a shelf and passcode a padlock. Permutations are so serious, combination is so mysterious. Add, multiply, subtract, and divide, we all have a good time. Combinations a number of order does not matter. Can you solve that? Yeah. We're thinking permutation. It's all about the problems. We need to find the answer. I just wanna make you learn for a brighter future. It's not about the cheating. It's all about the study. We just wanna make you learn for a bright future. Combination is a number of order does not matter. Can you solve that? Yeah. We're thinking permutation. It's all about the problems. We need to find the answer. We just wanna make you learn for a bright future. It's not about the cheating. It's all about the study. We just wanna make you learn for a bright future. Permutation and combination are the ways to represent group of objects by selecting them and forming subsets. It defines the various ways to arrange certain group of combinations and permutations are each different methods of counting the possible number of ways that the members of set may be selected or arranged, or given the difference between the two steps. Permutations include the order in which objects are placed to be important. Combinations consider which objects are chosen, even ignoring the order of member of set. One way to remember the difference between the two is to consider the meanings of words. Combine and permute. You may not be familiar with the word permute, which basically means to mix up the order and combine when split things together. Combinations and permutations are each different methods of counting the possible number of ways that the members of set may be selected or arranged, or given the difference between the two steps. Permutations include the order in which objects are placed to be important. Combinations consider which objects are chosen, when ignoring the order of member of set. Math is every problem in every equation, better solution, yeah. And it will be easy for you
If you study hard, using different formulas.
Let us help you using this permutation combination. The way can tell the set we are used to.
And they say, math is very hard, hard, hard. So let us tell you there's many ways to fix the problem. Yes.
And you don't have to hate math, hate math, hate math. You don't have to hate math, hate math, hate math.
The permutation and combination are the joy of math. Oh, do you know what's permutation and what is combination? It refers to the arrangement of its numbers into a sequence or linear order. Or if the set already ordered, arrangement of its elements, permutations care about the order. But combination don't need that.
They say math is very hard, hard, hard. Let's tell you the permutation and combination.
Yeah, and you don't have to hate math, hate math, hate math. You don't have to hate math, hate math, hate math. The permutation and combination are the joy of math.
That's the joy of math, the permutation, combination, the permutation, combination, joy of math.
Da, 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 da. That's the joy of math, the permutation and combination, the permutation and combination, the joy of math. Da, 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 da.
They say math is very hard, hard, hard. Let us tell you the permutation and combination. Yeah.
And you don't have to hate math, hate math, hate math. You don't have to hate math, hate math, hate math. The permutation and combination are the joy of math.
Hate math, hate math. You don't have to hate math, hate math.
The permutation and combination are the joy of math.
They say the joy of math.